Imagine your kids using a popular chibi game specifically for children. But what you don't know is that just below those cute animations lies a world so disturbing, it started hacker wars, fueled some truly unhinged racist propaganda, and even got the creator tangled up in a weird family-on-family situation. This is the disturbing Gacha Life Iceberg explained. Tier 1. Gacha Heat. Imagine scrolling through your kid's tablet and seeing a wide-eyed cartoon character suddenly start doing things no child's app should even know exist. Gacha Life is a free mobile app from 2018 where anyone can build cute anime-style avatars, slap on outfits, and act out little skits. Think digital paper dolls for telling wholesome tales. Except one subgenre decided wholesome was optional, and that's Gacha Heat, a trend of animations featuring same-blood relationship, assault, and other themes that would give any parent a heart attack. The origins are as depressing as you'd expect. The Gacha Life app launched as a harmless creative outlet, but within months, users started pushing boundaries. Creators began pumping out this disturbing content, and a community of kids, some as young as 9, just ate it up. To make things worse, the algorithm, in its infinite wisdom, decided this was exactly what the youth needed and started promoting the absolute worst of it. By 2019, Gacha Life cringe compilations were popping up everywhere. Well-meaning commentators like PK Russell made videos condemning the trend. But ironically, those criticism videos became its best marketing campaign. They basically handed this trend a megaphone, introducing it to a new wave of kids who thought it looked edgy and fun. So the cycle was born. Create heat, get criticized, gain more viewers, rinse and repeat. The developer Luname tried to stop the drama in 2020 by removing suggestive poses and clothes from the app, but it did absolutely nothing. Kids just used other apps to edit their videos, and the whole community migrated to TikTok. They also started hiding their work under innocent tags like #GachaStory. As you expect, the result was not a happy ending. Real-world safety groups had to issue official warnings to parents. You can actually find posts online from parents who caught their 9-year-old watching animated NSFW scenes featuring these cute chibi characters. Meanwhile, YouTube's moderation seems to have the whole thing backwards. A video showing explicit content can get hundreds of thousands of views with no age restriction, but a video explaining why Gacha Heat is dangerous will get flagged and buried. Today, the gross content is still there. The apps are still full of kids, and the people in charge don't seem to know how to fix it. It's a perfect example of the internet failing to protect children from themselves. Cyberbullying. If you thought the explicit content was bad, that's just the opening course. The real heat of Gacha Life community is bullying. And it's not just kids messing around. There's a full-blown digital war where they dox each other, send death threats, and sometimes even fake their own deaths for attention. It's the kind of chaos that makes reality TV look calm. The trouble usually starts with something small, like a fight over an original character, or someone's video being called cringe. But then it escalates, fast. Take the case of 11-year-old Beebee Berry, for example. She was caught drawing some inappropriate art of her own characters. The community didn't approve of her behavior, and their way of showing it was to go full scorched earth on the kid. They doxed her, hacked her channel, and sent so much hate that she flaked being depressed for sympathy. But that backfired spectacularly, and she was eventually chased off the internet for good. Then you have the infamous cases like Sweet Lemons and Kyla Gaming. Their strategy was simple. They target someone to bully, but when they got called out, they fake their own deaths to make their victims feel guilty. As if faking deaths isn't bad enough, the community has a real talent for attracting predators. There's grooming scandals with creators like Lentotally, who targeted a 15-year-old fan, and Hatsumi Rou, who threatened to take her own life to manipulate a 14-year-old. We'll get deeper into these stories later on Tier 2. The consequences of cyberbullying are very real, especially for the victims. In one case, an 11-year-old was targeted and harassed for years. He got messages mocking his dead father, threats telling him to hurt himself, and fake accusations of being a pedophile. As usual, the platform's response was disappointing. YouTube gave him strikes for his rants against the bullies, putting his channel at risk while his harassers faced no consequences. There are even darker, unconfirmed reports of a 12-year-old who actually took their own life after getting flooded with death threats for being a gotcha kid. The through line is always the same. A minor gets targeted on, the community reacts with explosive rage, and the platforms do little to nothing to stop it. Missing devs. What if I told you the biggest mystery in the Gacha Life universe isn't buried in the community at all? It's Looney, the guy who created it. Looney started making simple anime games back in 2012 and struck gold with Gacha Life in 2018. For a while, he was everywhere, engaging with fans, posting updates, and running things like a one-man studio. Then, around 2021, he pretty much vanished. The internet, being the internet, immediately jumped to the most dramatic conclusion possible. Looney had been arrested. The story went that he was being held responsible for all the Gacha Heat content his users were making. And, of course, the longer he stayed silent, the darker the rumors got. Accusations started flying that he was a predator, though the evidence was shaky at best. Screenshots with no source, a gender-swapped character, and vague claims about Discord chats that no one could verify. It got so bad that a fan site actually published a full article reviewing the rumors and basically said there was nothing to them. But in a community full of kids, logic doesn't always stand a chance. Then, in 2023, Looney suddenly reappeared to announce Gacha Life 2. You'd think that would calm people down, but it didn't. Whenever he goes quiet, like the few months he slowed down in mid-2024, the same chorus starts up again. Where is Looney? Followed by accusations that he's abandoned the games or lied about updates. It wasn't until 2024 that Looney finally addressed the whole thing in an interview. He said he took a break because he was completely burnt out. The constant updates, community backlash, and personal stress during COVID had worn him down. And really, that explanation made sense. It was just not as entertaining as a made-up prison sentence. The funniest part of all of this is that the official Luname social media accounts were posting the whole time. The company never actually disappeared. People just ignored that part because, well, it ruined a good mystery. Mıss Chøcølate. Most creators don't want controversy, but Mıss Chøcølate, better known as Nahima Rahman, seems to actively hunt for it. Gacha tubers are creators who use the Gacha Life app to make little anime-styled videos, memes, skits, short stories, that kind of thing, and post them on YouTube. With over 1 million subscribers, Mıss Chøcølate is one of the biggest names in the scene, and also one of the most controversial. She built her brand on a character she voices that's cocky, dim-witted, and playfully violent. And as you'd expect, her videos are filled with abuse, murder, and plenty of blood, usually without a single trigger warning. Her real talent, if you can call it that, is in thumbnail design. She has a real eye for the unsettling. One of her thumbnails shows a white figure staring at a female figure's breast as she takes a picture, while another features a character with an ahegao expression for a video about fish eating sand. The most disturbing one showed her pulling a chain like a noose around a suffocating figure to celebrate hitting 900k subscribers. Her content got so disturbing that she's been repeatedly accused of racism. In one video, she stereotyped Chinese culture by dressing a character in a traditional Hanfu for no reason. In another, she depicted the USA with a police officer pointing a gun at someone carrying pride flags. She's also been called out for altering characters' skin tones mid-video, making them lighter, which viewers rightly labeled as racist. But why stop there? She also has a habit of trivializing serious trauma. She made a meme about a boyfriend dying, joked about COVID-19 after a creator revealed his parents died from it, and, most infamously, capitalized on the death of popular Minecraft YouTuber Technoblade with a deeply disrespectful video. When confronted, her strategy is simple: run. The community memes her as a track star for how fast she avoids accountability. She dismisses critics as ranters, makes videos mocking them, and rarely offers a sincere apology. In early 2022, she posted a video of her character trying to hang herself after failing a test. It was fully animated, complete with blood effects and graphic detail. She claimed it was just a way to show off her blood-drawing skills. The backlash was instant. People called it out for glorifying rage-quitting life to a kid audience, and YouTube took it down for violating its rules on harmful content. Nahima didn't take it well. She clapped back at one critic, saying he was judging without knowing the full story, called everyone dumb and rude, disappeared for a bit, then came back with even more drama. She briefly promised to change after a hiatus, but the cycle always continues. Sweet Lemons. Back in May 2020, a 14-year-old gacha creator, Sweet Lemons, decided the best way to win an online feud was to fake her own death. Yeah, literally. The whole thing started with a classic gacha community culture, stealing each other's original characters, or OCs. Sweet Lemons discovered a user named Emily. Emily was making not-safe-for-work edits of her precious chibi creations. We're talking explicit, creepy family roleplay content. Sweet Lemons did what any sane person would do and told her to quit it. For a second, it seemed like Emily agreed. Then she went nuclear. She started throwing insults, told Sweet Lemons to cry to her mother, and followed it up by saying her mom didn't love her. Real picture of maturity right there. The messages escalated to a point where Emily was actively encouraging Sweet Lemons to off herself, telling her to just do it and that she wouldn't stop until she did. To get revenge, Sweet Lemons decided to weaponize the entire internet sympathy. So on May 21st, a post from her cousin announced she had taken her own life. Then her final note was circulated, and the gacha community paid their tributes. We're talking angelic fan art, haloed characters with lemon motifs, and YouTube videos set to sad music. The subreddit Gacha Life Cringe got so flooded with memorial posts, the mods had to lock it down. It was a big digital funeral for a girl who was, technically, still breathing. Meanwhile, Emily, the bully, became public enemy number 1. She was branded a murderer and drowned in thousands of death threats. Then the plot thickened. 9 days later, on May 30th, it came out that Sweet Lemons wasn't gone, just busy faking being gone. Her grand justification was to teach Emily a lesson. The entire performance, the cousin, the note, the global mourning, was all an elaborate revenge scheme that blew up in her face. The community's grief instantly curdled into betrayal. Survivors of genuine attempts called her out, saying how much this kind of hoax hurts. The outpouring of support turned into a torrent of outrage. She started as a victim of harassment, but ended as her own enemy. Now we know you can't fake your death without pissing off a few thousand people who genuinely cared. Fizzy Pop. Some gacha drama is complicated, but this one wasn't. In spring 2021, a creator called Fizzy Pop uploaded a video telling people to unsubscribe from Thuman and 2 other black creators. Thuman, a black gacha artist, had been getting racist backlash for drawing herself as Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service. And like every engagement seeker, Fizzy Pop jumped in, called her and the other black creators a bunch of slurs, and then tried to spin it like she was making a valid point. Thuman, rightfully, just tweeted a screenshot with some tired emojis and tried to move on. Fizzy Pop, however, took it as a challenge. She launched a full-scale campaign. She made a second video directly responding to Thuman's tweet, demanding she accept her criticism. Then she created a third video using gacha life avatars. She depicted Thuman and the other creators as pets and slaves. When that video didn't get a response from Thuman, she switched tactics and started spamming Thuman's comments section, asking why anyone would even want to learn how to draw black people from her tutorials. The private messages were even worse. They were filled with slurs and insults, including her directly calling Thuman a coward. After Thuman posted a video addressing the harassment, Fizzy Pop suddenly claimed she'd grown a conscience. She tried to apologize, but the apology videos were a disaster. One painted her as the victim, and another argued that people were just too sensitive about a word. Thuman saw through it immediately and blocked her, hoping that would finally end it. But again, it was merely the end of Act 1. In October 2021, Thuman got a message from an account claiming to be Fizzy Pop's partner. It read, "My girlfriend is dead because of you." The person accused Thuman of driving Fizzy Pop to take her own life. Thuman, being smarter than this, immediately suspected it was just Fizzy Pop using an alternate account. The partner even sent a blurry hand photo as proof that it wasn't Fizzy Pop. Those messages would have been convincing if they were meant for a 5-year-old, but they weren't. The scam escalated with an email supposedly from Fizzy Pop from beyond the grave, filled with more slurs and threats. This finally pushed Thuman to make a video in March 2022 that laid out the entire timeline and garnered over 1 million views. So what's Fizzy Pop's reaction? She staged a fake hack of her own channel to expose her own racism. Then she officially returned in a video and casually admitted she faked her own death because she was bored. She even updated her channel bio to announce that her apologies were fake and her racism was real. Charlotte May. At this point, it probably seems like the unsupervised kids making videos were the whole issue. But turns out the mess started from the creator himself. Charlotte May is a recurring character in Looney's games, acting as a kind of community manager. Looney, real name Lucas Lee, is the founder and lead developer of Luname, the company that created Gacha Life and many other gacha games such as Gacha Club and Gacha Studio. She's modeled after Looney's real-life sister, and that detail turns out to be pretty important. You'll soon see why. In the 2017 game Gacha Resort, she's dressed for the beach in a striped bikini top, very short denim shorts, and her signature striped stockings. The problem wasn't just the outfit itself, it was the game's resort mode, a mechanic where you built affection with characters by tapping on them. You could tap their head for a cute line, or their nose for a game update, but the system also let you tap other more sensitive areas. Tapping Charlotte's chest would get you a line about her being embarrassed when she's not in her suit. Tapping her crotch prompted her to snap. Touch me again and you're banned. On paper, these were probably meant as joke responses, but this was a game played largely by children, centered on a cartoon version of the developer's sister. which, understandably, sparked questions that really should have been in police reports. Forums like Reddit's Gacha Life Cringe lit up with accusations that Looney was objectifying his own sister's self-insert. The combination of the familial connection and the questionable tap mechanics was a controversy waiting to happen. The fact that players could put this same bikini outfit on other, more childlike character models only added more fuel to the fire. And then, the Gacha Heat community arrived to make everything 1,000 times worse. They took Charlotte's preset and used it in their explicit animations. That meant a character, already tangled in a controversy, became the poster child for the community's nastiest creations. It created a feedback loop where critics would point to the fan-made explicit content as proof the original design was predatory. In the end, there were no arrests or victim statements. Just another case of a developer handing kids a loaded gun and acting shocked when it went off. RosyClozy. So you climb to the top of the gacha world. Everyone calls you the mother of the community. And then one morning, your name is trending on TikTok for all the wrong reasons. That's the situation RosyClozy found herself in. Things started heating up around 2022 when allegations emerged that she, as an adult, was shipping herself with a 16-year-old character named Luke from her own series. The claims even included some explicit artwork, because apparently that's what mature adults like to do with their free time. As you can imagine, people had a lot of opinions. RosyClozy and her husband Jason responded to the claims. Their defense basically boiled down to 3 points. First, they said it was all just inside jokes with friends and was never meant to be taken seriously. Second, they argued that since the characters are fictional, the jokes shouldn't be a big deal. And third, they claimed the whole situation was started by a hate group that got banned from their servers and decided to get revenge by trying to cancel her. Their response wasn't a big public video or post. It was mostly comments under other people's videos. So for years, these claims kept bubbling up because there was never a clear dedicated statement from her main channel to address it head on. Just when the scandal was dying down, there was a new subplot: staff mistreatment. RosyClozy was accused of being mean to staff members on her private Discord server, called Mystic Meadow. It got so bad that staff started bailing left and right. One person, known only as Abby, got demoted and didn't take it well, which led to a whole other messy situation. To make things even more entertaining, the main server is now behind a paywall. You need a $5 YouTube membership just to see what's going on. While all this was happening, RosyClozy was conveniently nowhere to be found, so the blame landed on Jason. When she finally returned, the paywall stayed up, and so did the complaints about shipping and staff treatment. Tier 3. Cleovioo. Most creators are fine just making content, but Cleovioo wasn't. She built her whole career on controversy and got really good at it. And like most internet disasters, it all started with politics. In late 2023, Cleo voiced strong support for Palestine. This immediately put her on a collision course with another creator, Pochitrix, who argued that discussing a potential genocide was a bit heavy for an audience of kids. He privately asked her to cool it, but Cleo didn't just disagree. She took it very personally. She accused him of being complacent and basically rolling out the welcome mat for Zionists. Then she mobilized her fans to spam "Free Palestine" all over his channel. Her critics called it a targeted harassment campaign. She called it activism. Pochitrix fought back by deleting every comment and then publicly mocking Cleo by sharing a private, emotional vent post she had made. The whole community just split right down in the middle. You had people calling Cleo a brave activist, and others saying she was a bully dragging real-world violence into a space for cartoon characters. Cleo just doubled down, posting that randers won't stop her from speaking up, and that set the stage for her next move. A scandal so much worse, it made the political fighting look like a playground argument. In early June 2024, everything exploded. Cleo herself leaked a video where she and a friend were depicted in Nazi uniforms terrorizing characters dressed as Israelis. The clip was captioned with their mutual hate for Israelis. To absolutely no one's surprise, playing dress up as a Nazi didn't do great things for her public image. Then, as if on cue, a commentary channel named Jack the Baron dropped a whole new folder of evidence the very next day. He released Discord screenshots that showed Cleo using the N-word and sending death threats to Jewish people. The backlash was instant and brutal. Cleo's defense was shaky at best. She claimed the screenshots were fake and taken out of context. But for most people, the evidence was impossible to ignore. Her reputation tanked overnight, and she was branded as a creator with some seriously hateful views. In light of all the drama, Cleo's YouTube channel was terminated. The platform's official reason was that she was underage. But the timing made it clear that the scandal was the real cause. In a twist that frustrated many, she successfully appealed and got her channel back within days. But the trust was gone. Now Cleovioo just exists in the state of limbo. She's the content creator who technically survived the hate speech scandal, but can't ever really wash the stink off. Verification scams. Imagine your daughter's favorite online hangout forum turns out to be the hunting ground for predators. This is exactly what happened to the parents of a 10-year-old girl named Kala McGarry on an app called Amino. In July of 2019, Kala was using Amino, a popular app where fans hang out in themed groups. She joined a gacha life community that claimed to be a safe space for young girls. Keyword claimed. One evening, she received a private message from a user calling herself Mandy. Mandy claimed to be an official Amino staff member and said Kala needed to verify she was a girl to stay in the safe space. Now, the disturbing part was the verification method. She had to send a photo of her bare chest. The message came wrapped in cheerful corporate talk about extra security features, but the threat underneath was obvious. She had to do what they were asking or she would be kicked out. The only reason this story didn't end horribly is because Kala had a smart mom. Her mother, Nicola, had already warned her about strangers online. So instead of doing what the message said, Kala showed it to her. Nicola was horrified, mostly because she knew plenty of other kids would have fallen for it. The message used fake authority and the threat of being kicked out, which is basically the perfect mix for manipulating a child. Nicola reported the incident to Amino, who gave a standard corporate response about their zero-tolerance policy and advanced technologies. They threw big words around and claimed to have contacted the police, but no public update on an arrest ever came. Meanwhile, Nicola took the story to the press and sounded the alarm that predators had found their way into an app supposedly made for children. Lunament decided to stay on top of it by making it clear that their game had no image sharing feature. They said the problem was with Amino, not them. And that was that. Jellobug Studios. This creator became the central figure in a war that showed just how toxic the community could get. Jellobug, a lesbian YouTuber, built her channel on LGBT-themed gacha stories. On the surface, that sounds positive, but in practice, let's just say the stories were not exactly kid-friendly. Her videos, often rated 13+, were packed with sexual elements. We're talking family affairs, assault storylines, and abuse, all acted out by cute chibi characters. She used creative euphemisms like calling ejaculation milk, and even had community posts showing milk stains. So, really subtle stuff. The backlash was inevitable. Critics accused her of fetishizing LGBTQ relationships and targeting a young audience with inappropriate material. Then, in March 2020, she decided to handle criticism in the worst way possible. A YouTuber named Galaxy Is Okay made a video critiquing her low-effort fetishizing content. And Jellobug's brilliant response was to file a false copyright strike against him to get the criticism taken down. That single move turned a lot of the community against her and attracted the attention of a much more dangerous group. This is where the Anti-Gacha Life Council, or AGLC, entered the mix. They were a vigilante group dedicated to taking down problematic gacha creators. But their methods were unconventional, to say the least. They doxed her, dragged her, and then sent her tutorials on how to end the game. Finally, they demanded she remove the copyright strikes and apologize on a facecam video. Even after she complied, they used throwaway accounts to file more false strikes against her channel, which led to its eventual termination in April 2020. In the end, Jellobug was gone, but the victory was hollow. The AGLC became monsters themselves. Meowbahh. If you were trying to design the ultimate internet troll in a lab, you'd probably end up with something like Meowbahh. This Australian troll, who called herself a professional kawaii anime waifu, exploded on TikTok in March 2022 and immediately became the worst person online in record time. Her branding is a PNG avatar with purple hair, a high-pitched voice, and broken Japanese that sounded like Google Translate had a stroke. But this was just the wrapping. Just days after her first video, Meowbahh was reading comments on a live stream. Someone asked her to say the R slur, a deeply offensive term for people with disabilities. And without a single second of hesitation, she said it, clearly, and then giggled. The backlash was instant. She responded by posting an apology video, and that is where she perfected her craft. The entire apology was delivered while she was loudly chewing food. She called the community of people living with disabilities a fandom, and said, Meow did not realize the R word was a slur used against mentally challenged people, all while munching away. This set the pattern for every next episode. One time, clips surfaced of Meowbahh telling shy users in her Discord server to end their lives, and casually dropping the N-word and F-slur. Then, as if her behavior wasn't despicable enough, she decided to take things up a notch. On the first day of Ramadan in 2022, she made a video claiming she could beat Allah in a fight, and nicknamed herself Meowbahh. Later that year, on October 29, she told her mostly Indonesian audience that Indonesia was a dog country. But the moment that truly defined her brand was her tribute to Technoblade, the beloved Minecraft YouTuber who passed away from cancer in June 2022. A little over a month after his passing, Meowbahh posted NSFW artwork on her Patreon depicting herself with Technoblade's corpse and the Austrian painter. If that sentence made you want to bleach your brain, you're not alone. She shared the censored version on Twitter and hid the explicit one behind a paywall, basically trying to cash in on the tragedy. She followed it up with a video where she touched a Technoblade plushie. When called out for necrophilia, she called it supportive art in remembrance. It was a disturbing, attention-grabbing stunt that crossed every possible line, all delivered with a toxic ooh-woo aesthetic. By the end of 2022, Meowbahh's actions led to widespread deplatforming. Her social media got banned, and the Discord server was shut down. With all that heat, she finally went quiet, leaving behind just a few Patreon posts. This all just goes to show that even the most dedicated trolls eventually run out of bridges to burn. Bella the Wolf. Plenty of gacha tubers do bad things. Then there's Bella the Wolf, who built a whole drama machine just to keep the likes coming. Bella's brand was built on being the internet's edgelord. She had a real talent for picking the most sensitive topics possible. She mocked soldiers by making videos where she repeatedly kills them and their dogs in gacha animations. She made fun of the death of Technoblade by accusing him of racism via a fake Twitter account and claiming he had no purpose. Then she moved on to religion, creating posts that declared Bella is the new god, or the face of Allah, and Bella's better than Jesus. She also got accused of animal abuse in her videos, but no one knows for sure if she hurt her own cat. The edgy posts were only the start. Her Discord server basically ran like a bullying cult. She and her staff picked targets, sent death threats, and told kids to kill themselves. They even doxed a 10-year-old, leaked their phone number, and kept harassing them until the mom had to change it. Bella didn't stop there. She posted critics' phone numbers in schools for everyone to see. Despite multiple cancellations and exposure videos detailing her actions, Bella's platform stuck around for a long time. Her YouTube channel was eventually banned in late 2024. Before that, she would post insincere apology videos, and then continue her behavior, treating the entire cycle as a game. Darend Lee. If you want to understand how the gacha community got so messed up, you have to start at the source, the developer himself, Lucas Looney Lee. Because it turns out the whole disturbing ecosystem didn't grow by accident. A lot of it was practically built into the foundation. Let's start with the assets. In gacha life, Looney included mouth options like a drooling face and a tongue sticking out. These were predictably exploited by kids to create explicit Gacha Heat content. He removed them in one update, only to thoughtfully add them right back in Gacha Club. The games were full of options for explicit content. Gacha Studio had pole dancing and twerk poses. Gacha Club reportedly included a prop that looked like an adult novelty item. And then there was Gacha Resort, which was apparently too explicit for Apple's App Store. The game let players tap on female characters' chests and crotches for suggestive dialogue. And if you remember, one of those characters was a self-insert of Looney's own real-life sister. Yes, he put his sister in a bikini and programmed the game to react when you tap her private areas. Just a normal day at the office. The problems went deeper than just visuals. Looney included personality traits like sadist and masochist for characters, directly introducing BDSM terminology to a game rated for 9-year-olds. The game originally had unmoderated chat rooms labeled ecchi and 18+, which were only removed after massive backlash. He even allegedly planned a collaboration with Nataku, an adult game company, for a cancelled project. He also ran a contest that encouraged his young fans to participate, without exactly clarifying the game's true nature. But perhaps his biggest failure is his behavior towards real predators in his ecosystem. When a known groomer named Lentotally was exposed in the community, Looney kept the predator's character preset in Gacha Club, which effectively promoted him. We will talk about him more in Tier 4. He did the same for other problematic creators. His moderation strategy seemed to prioritize removing random kids who made NSFW content over confirmed child predators actively grooming his user base. His platform provided the tools and the audience for this toxicity to grow, and he consistently refused to take meaningful responsibility. With all those factors at play, the final result is an ecosystem where children are exposed to explicit content, left unprotected from predators, and the guy in charge just keeps handing out more matches. Tier 4. Beebee Berry. Before Gacha Life became the cultural beast it is now, its predecessor, Gacha Studio, was already brewing its own share of drama. One of the earliest names tied to that mess was an 11-year-old creator known as Beebee Berry. Now, most of what you're about to hear comes from old forum posts, deleted videos, and community gossip. The details are shaky, so think of this more as a legend that built up around her. Back in 2017 and 2018, the Gacha community was tiny. Beebee Berry was just another kid making short mini-movies. But according to old posts and screenshots, she had a bit of a reputation. The story goes that she sent hate to smaller creators, picked fights, and stirred up drama behind the scenes. But that was apparently just the beginning. Things supposedly escalated when a former friend exposed her. That's when the community claimed she had a secret obsession with NSFW art. The rumor was that she'd been drawing explicit versions of her own gacha characters and sharing them with others. Now remember, this was a mostly wholesome, kid-heavy community at the time, so the reaction was immediate shock. And when the backlash hit, the story goes that Beebee Berry didn't exactly handle it gracefully. Instead of apologizing, people say she tried to play the sympathy card. According to those same accounts, she made videos where she claimed to be depressed and hinted at self-harm, supposedly to guilt the community into forgiving her. She made videos showing her gacha OCs acting out sob stories, which just made the whole thing look more like damage control than genuine remorse. The audience saw right through it, and whatever sympathy she was trying to build didn't last long. It ends with her original YouTube channel getting terminated, allegedly because of all the drama surrounding her. Rumor has it she tried to start fresh with a new channel, but the backlash followed her there too. Eventually, she deleted everything and disappeared from the scene completely. Cyberwar. Beyond the usual doxing and drama, the Gacha Life community briefly found itself in the middle of an actual organized cyberwar. And for once, it wasn't the community's fault. This was Project Gachafall, a short-lived hacking effort in the summer of 2020. The attack wasn't carried out by some elite group of cyber ninjas. They were just a bunch of trolls led by a guy calling himself Captain Surebase 12, who decided their life's mission was to take down channels dedicated to pixel dolls. Their motivation was a mix of anti-gacha cringe culture and sheer boredom. They were affiliated with a larger troll group called YouTube Troll Police, or UTTP, which had a history of harassing random online communities. Their methods were interesting, to say the least. They pretended to be Discord staff to trick kids into handing over passwords, sent out fake Gacha Club beta files loaded with malware, and hid IP grabbers inside fake links. Surely nothing bad could come from adult hackers declaring war on 9-year-olds, right? Wrong. They hijacked GachaTuber channels, deleted years of hard-work videos, renamed the accounts to spread UTTP propaganda, and even leaked IP addresses and photos. The goal was just pure chaos. The group even floated a plan to use the hashtag #CutForGacha to encourage self-hurting. Imagine logging into your channel to find it's been renamed by some guy celebrating the fact he just doxed a teenager. The gacha community's response was surprisingly resilient. They spread warnings, pushed for two-factor authentication, and mass-reported the attackers. The whole project fizzled out by early 2021. It turns out, harassing children online doesn't have much long-term career potential. The group ultimately collapsed under the weight of its own incompetence, and the very real fear of legal consequences for their little adventure. Lentotally. Up to this point, it's been harassment and manipulation. But now we're looking at full-blown exploitation. In 2021, a 20-year-old Filipino gacha animator named Lentotally groomed a 14-year-old fan, and was later accused of doing the same to another minor. Lentotally wasn't some obscure account. He was a prominent creator, known for his skilled GLMVs, or Gacha Life music videos, which made him a figure to look up to. That's what made his actions so much worse. The grooming occurred largely on Discord, where his conversations with the minor quickly escalated from casual chat to explicit roleplay. Screenshots of their exchanges show Len, the adult, detailing graphic adult scenarios and pressuring the minor for videos. This was a textbook case of an abuser using his status to manipulate a child. What makes this case uniquely infuriating is that Lentotally admitted to it. In a since-deleted community post, he wrote, "I'm highly aware. The evidence is true as much as I regret it. I did such things to someone." But his apology was insincere. He immediately tried to shift blame onto the 14-year-old victim, claiming she started the flirting and that he just went along with it until it got out of hand. He knew it was wrong. He admitted he knew it was wrong, but he did it anyway. Some people stood with the victim, while others somehow found a way to blame a 14-year-old. Commentators had to spell it out repeatedly that a kid under that kind of pressure from a 20-year-old they idolized doesn't exactly have room to say no. Even after his confession, a few die-hard fans still defended him because they liked his animations. He tried crawling back online as Sinister, but the backlash buried that name too. Hatsumi Rou. Imagine being 12 years old, and your favorite online creator starts dating you. Then she starts sending you explicit photos. And then she tells you she's going to kill herself if you ever leave. That's what a gacha YouTuber named Hatsumi Rou did. The victim was 12 years old when they met Hatsumi on a site called Ponytown. Hatsumi was a YouTuber with a large following at the time, so she was an idol in the eyes of that kid. Their relationship started innocently, but it quickly warped. After a few months, they began dating, and that relationship escalated to explicit roleplays that the 12-year-old felt pressured to perform. Then it levels up to the max. When Hatsumi was 17, she began sending adult images, videos, and voice recordings to the 13-year-old victim, sometimes while drunk. She then demanded the child reciprocate with adult content of their own. When the victim refused, Hatsumi used emotional blackmail, accusing them of not trusting her. The most brutal weapon in Hatsumi's arsenal was the leave the server threat. She would send photos pretending to be on a cliff edge or threaten to shoot herself, telling the victim her life was entirely in their hands. The poor kid ended up spending hours every day playing therapist to an adult throwing tantrums. They were terrified that if they left, she'd actually do it, and they'd have to live with that. Even when they finally escaped years later, the manipulation didn't stop. Her last messages were the same old routine: guilt trips and emotional traps. Her old friends say they were just as tired of being used as stand-in counselors for her non-stop crises. The entire case is a masterclass in how predators could weaponize a child's empathy. Tier 5. Evil Ethan. Imagine being 11, still trying to process your dad's death while getting picked on at school. You find comfort in YouTube, making little gacha stories, sharing your thoughts, just existing online. Then you speak up about something shady and everything flips. Older creators come after you, sending waves of hate that don't stop for years. All of this is laid out in a 90-page Google Doc titled The Evil Ethan Chronicles. It's basically a written record of how years of harassment completely wrecked the life of one kid, Ethan, the person behind Evil Ethan. It all kicked off in 2021, when Ethan criticized an older user, Wixtener, for creating inappropriate content. The response was what you would call wildly disproportionate. Wixtener, then around 16, stole 2 of Ethan's original characters. She then created a video series shipping these characters in explicit and creepy family relationship scenarios. Somehow, those videos outperformed Ethan's original content, a real testament to market demand. Sadly, it didn't stop at videos. She bombarded Ethan with mean messages and false accusations. She called him homophobic for not wanting his straight, asexual characters to be shipped together. Then, when she found out he briefly used a female persona named Sam, she started accusing him of being transgender to mock him. When Ethan turned 13, she sent him gore pics claiming they were of his dead dad. Then came the violation and murder threats. He blocked her, but she just made new accounts. When Wixtener got bored of her old antics, she decided to turn up the heat in the most vile way possible. She made disgusting X-rated content of Ethan and his deceased father, posted it on Reddit, and even used it as her profile picture. She said she was into it and had more planned with his friends. Around this time, other people joined in, including a user named NotStaka666, who's linked to UTTP, the troll group known for harassing the Gacha Life community. They started mass uploading videos accusing the 12-year-old kid of being a PDF file and a violator. Then there's Aiko, a teenager who wrote graphic stories involving Ethan and his late father. She announces the release with comments like, "Ethan is gonna be pregnant soon." Wixtener, seeing this literary effort, then adapts it into a new series of visual pieces. Meanwhile, on Reddit, the hate kept piling on. People were calling him homophobic and claiming his cries for help were just attention grabs. All this peaked around his 15th birthday, when the harassment had already driven him to try to unalive himself multiple times. He posted about the victim blaming from adults downplaying his trauma, but it just fueled more insults. Through all of this, YouTube's moderation zeroed in on the wrong target. They slapped age restrictions and strikes on Ethan's videos where he talked about the abuse and even shadow banned his channel around Christmas 2024. Meanwhile, the harasser's threats, explicit stuff, and doxing videos had a much longer shelf life. So yeah, that's the timeline. A kid made a channel, and for his efforts, he got a dedicated team of haters curating a long-term harassment campaign. Cooking Cannibal Class GLMM. If you have any doubts that kids will take any creative tool and immediately use it to make the most unhinged stuff imaginable, just take a look at the trend of horror GLMMs. At the top of this disturbing genre is a 2019 video from AVRC called Cooking Class Cannibal. It follows a girl named Alice getting relentlessly bullied. Her solution is to drug her tormentors, chop them up, and cook them into meals, which she then serves to her unsuspecting classmates. The video ends with Alice stabbing herself in the stomach. It's a snuff film, and it's bad. The fact it was made with a children's app makes it 100 times worse. After its release, it went viral and racked up nearly 500,000 views. Comments from kids as young as 10 talked about how it inspired them to make their own horror stories about serial killers. Then, a wave of similar violent GLMMs started to pop up, complete with cannibalism and unaliving, all created by and for a preteen audience. Then, the video went missing. In late 2020, YouTube finally terminated the creator's channel for terms of service violations. Just like that, Cooking Class Cannibal became lost media, a ghost story within the community. But that's not where the story ends. In 2023, the original creator appealed, and YouTube restored the video. It was back. More importantly, it had spawned a cottage industry of remakes. Other users started uploading their own versions of Cooking Class Cannibal, sometimes with alternate endings where the police show up instead of her taking her own life. These remakes toned down the gore just enough to slip past YouTube's filters, but they kept the core themes of murder and cannibalism completely intact. Parents on sites like Common Sense Media tell stories of their kids having nightmares after stumbling onto this content. Safety guides from companies like Custodio explicitly warn about these violent horror GLMMs normalizing extreme violence for young viewers. The platform's response has been a confusing mess. The original video was deleted, then restored, while countless imitators remain online. Delete one head, and 2 more pop up in its place. Roro Chan. You can't talk about the dark side of the gacha life community without eventually stumbling into the story of Roro Chan. Roro Chan was a live streamer starting around 2012. She was shy, anxious, and famously hid her face with a pink cardboard box during broadcasts. She'd sing, play piano, and chat softly. But her online persona had a dark, edgy side. She used titles that hinted at mental health struggles, and at some point, she started performing dangerous stunts for her audience. She'd stand on her high-rise apartment roof ledge or dart into traffic, and the chat loved it. Majority of the comments actively encouraged her. They told her that if she got hurt, she would become a legend. It was basically a live audience cheering on a tragedy in real time. This all came to a head in the early hours of November 24, 2013. Roro Chan started a stream from the emergency landing of her 13th floor apartment. For several minutes, viewers watched her pace on the balcony, panicking and apologizing. Some begged her to stop. Others treated it like a finale. Finally, she apologizes one last time, climbs the railing, and jumps. The camera tumbles, cuts off, and then silence. A newspaper delivery person found her body minutes later, and not long after, she was pronounced dead. The police found no note. Her family was blindsided, and the motive that pieced itself together was somehow even more bleak. She wasn't just trying to escape pain. She was chasing a dramatic, legendary status she'd never even get to see. Clips of her final stream spread through Japanese forums before eventually leaking into the gacha fandom. And of course, the gacha community got involved. A user named Gacha Dove Roro created skits mocking Roro Chan's tragedy and other real-life tragedies for cheap laughs. This sparked a mini-war within the community, with other creators executing this user's gacha avatar in videos until they were chased off the platform. Roro Chan's tragic death and what happened afterwards is proof that the internet's need for content doesn't stop, not even when someone dies for it.